Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. A while ago, my cousin seemed to assume that because my future father-in-law is rich, that I would rent her a luxury car on the day of her wedding, because I did the same thing for my sister. Obviously, of course, it had to be a more expensive car than what my sister had. Naturally, I refused, which caused her and my aunt to blow a gasket and insult me, my now fiancé, and my whole section of the family. I mostly found this amusing and mentioned it in passing to other sisters and other cousins who informed me of all the truly awful things my cousin has done over the years. Eventually, I spoke to my uncle about it all, and he told her fiancé. I don't know details, but I found out the wedding is indefinitely postponed, and her fiancé knows about the car incident if nothing else. This leads into the recent story. I got engaged recently and have been telling family members, so naturally my aunt and cousin found out. My cousin called me screaming so loudly I could hear her with my phone nowhere near my ear, saying things like, "How dare I steal her thunder?" and that I ruined her life, so I could get married first. I later reviewed an email from my aunt demanding that I end my engagement until after my cousin has gotten married, as it is apparently disgusting I would subject her to this, given the difficult time she is going through emotionally. Naturally, my cousin thinks this is a wonderful idea. I should have been angry, but I couldn't stop laughing at the gall of these a-holes. I also told them to pound sand. Gotta love these people. Be sure not to invite them. To recap for people who haven't read my previous posts. This cousin demanded I rent an expensive car for her to use at her wedding. Demanded I end my engagement after hers was postponed. Told my family I had postponed my engagement in order to try and pressure me into going along with it. Those are just the highlights. There is more that she's done, but we would be here forever. My cousin's engagement went from being called off to having the entire relationship end due to her crappy behavior, and she's gone completely off the rails. She has found out that not only are my fiancé and I planning on getting married in late September, but we are planning on buying a house in the next 6 to 12 months, assuming we can find the time to do so, obviously, and that not long after that, we want to start trying for kids. Ladies and gentlemen, she ducking lost the plot. She called my fiancé screaming at her about how we are ruining her life deliberately and that we are so cruel for rubbing our happiness in her face. My fiancé gave me the phone and she shifted her attacks, accusing me of stealing her life and that I was only doing all this because she wasn't able to. I may have been a bit of a jerk here, but I simply laughed and told her that I've never even considered her when planning my life. I hung up and we've blocked her, though she does still have our numbers, obviously. Honestly, she's a complete lunatic. While I do feel slightly bad for her, everything that's happened has been because of her own choices. Hell, even her own father has turned around and said she needs to accept what her actions have caused. So, there we go. I know people were interested in the last story, so I thought I'd share this here for you. Update. I now have an update and small explanation for her past behavior. My cousin has taken a job in another state and moved away, and is currently only speaking to her mom. She is ignoring her dad and sister, aside from the rare one-word response, so they know she's actually alive and hasn't responded to anyone else in the family at all. Talking to her sister, I have also found out why she may have done this. A bit of background. There are 9 grandkids in my family. I'm the oldest, and until my youngest cousin was born 18 years after me, I was the only grandson. The second grandchild, not the cousin from the story, was literally the first girl born into the family for 6 generations. The cousin from the story is grandchild number 5, and she has one younger sister. My cousin has apparently always felt overshadowed by my eldest cousin and I. Everything she did, we had already done, being 4 years older. She also had a younger sister who was brilliant and would almost always outperform her when it was her time to do something. It led to this mindset of always feeling that we had done things better and earlier, and it made her accomplishments less meaningful. This all started to get worse because she and my sister got engaged around the same time, but my sister announced hers first, so she got the first engagement of our generation. Then, the date my sister chose meant my cousin couldn't pick an earlier date, without it being clear she was either deliberately trying to get married before my sister, and likely not having enough time to plan it properly, so she was forced to choose April of this year, and settle for being second. Obviously, that was canceled, which made everything worse, especially because I was in her eyes deliberately trying to ruin it by not helping. Her engagement, and eventually the relationship itself, ended quite badly, and I went on to get engaged myself, which was the final straw apparently. While this in no way excuses her, especially because she's done a lot of awful things to non-family members, but I do feel bad for her. I never realized she felt that, and I hope she can find some peace away from everything. She got hit by the middle child syndrome. Hard. Hopefully someday, she will learn to stop comparing herself to others and start comparing herself with her past self. Life isn't a competition, and it's made so much more worthwhile when you can see how much you've progressed as a person over time. She sounds so unhappy right now. May she find peace and happiness. I started working here when I was 19 and supported myself through college. Also great benefits. So my coworkers are like family. Bio family sucks, but that's another post. When I was 4 months pregnant, I told my coworkers, who were happy for me, all except Patty, fake name. She didn't say anything. After a while, she started being friendly with me, asking about the baby, my health, and my plans for the future. I told her that my boyfriend and I were getting married and moving in together to be a family. Patty didn't like this for some reason and started asking me about my opinions on adoption. I said no, I'd never adopt out my child. For weeks, Patty gave me the silent treatment. Then, one night after visiting hours, a couple showed up, 40-ish male, 40-ish female. I told them that visiting hours were over and that they could see their family member tomorrow. The woman said, "Oh, we're here to see you. We're so excited to meet you and want to thank you for choosing us to give your baby to." I was dumbfounded, shocked, until the woman tried to touch my 6-month pregnant belly. I screamed so loud all of the nurses came running. The couple tried to explain to security, nurses, and me that their sister-in-law told them that I was a young unwed mother desperately trying to give up my baby for adoption and chose them. That their sister-in-law promised them my baby since they have been suffering from infertility for years. I told them I had no intentions of giving up my baby and to never come near me again. I also told them that I don't even know their sister-in-law, but they kept insisting that I did. Next night, Patty comes charging up to my desk, screaming at me about how could I treat her brother and sister-in-law like garbage after she helped me with my mistake. I called security, and Patty, her brother, and sister-in-law are banned from coming near me or contacting me at work. But I'm 8 months pregnant and scared these crazy entitled people will find me when I deliver and demand my baby. My boyfriend says it's just hormones and they can't just steal our baby, but I'm terrified. Did Patty get fired? Because there's no way a person like that should be working at a hospital. I understand that you're scared. Anyone would be. Talk to your doctor and make sure that all of your information will be password protected. All of the nurses working with you should know everything is password protected as well. This isn't an uncommon request, so they should be able to accommodate you. If you're still not comfortable, have your baby at a completely different hospital. What matters the most right now is how you feel, your safety, and the safety of your baby. Also, talk to your supervisor and HR to see if there's a plan in place to keep Patty from knowing when you take your maternity leave. Hell, call a lawyer and ask if you can get at least a temporary restraining order, if not a permanent one. They usually do free consultations. So, my girlfriend's parents are obscenely wealthy, both in their own rights, but her father is literally worth hundreds of millions of pounds. Now on to the first part of the story. My sister got married a year ago, and she had invited my girlfriend's parents, as she's met them several times at family events, and because my girlfriend and I are planning on getting married and wanted them to know they were already part of the family. They weren't able to make it, but were touched by the gesture, so as a wedding present, hired a Jaguar as a wedding gift, which my sister and brother-in-law loved. Fast forward to last night, when I get a message from my cousin saying she wanted to talk and was coming over. She is getting married sometime next year, and she told me she wanted a Lamborghini or Ferrari for her wedding car. I was confused because while my girlfriend's family is wealthy, she and I are not, or at least not enough. Our expensive items have all been from the occasional gift we get, as because my girlfriend and I don't want to be dependent on her parents' money. After explaining that to my cousin, she got annoyed, but was willing to settle for the same type of car my sister had. At this point, I explained I hadn't gotten the car. It was a gift from my girlfriend's parents. This is where her true colors showed. She turned around, her face lighting up, and said, "Oh, I'd forgotten they were rich. Looks like we can get the good cars after all." Not going to lie, I was pissed. I promptly informed my cousin that not only did my girlfriend's parents not know her, but that my girlfriend doesn't like her. And to be honest, I don't either. And we weren't even going to the wedding, to which we hadn't even received a save the date for by that point. She is now furious with me, and I have already received several angry messages from my aunt, calling me a tight butt who doesn't love my family. Not wrong regarding specific members of said family, to be honest. And that I'm ruining the whole day, as well as messages from my uncle and cousin, apologizing for the outbursts, as they are on my side. Personally, I couldn't care less. You should send her a toy car as a wedding present. Better, send her a Ferrari toy car so she can't say you're cheap. This happened to a friend of mine, Jane. Her little sister Tina had a younger sibling chip on her shoulder, always trying to undermine Jane, outdo her in everything. Everything was competition. You know the drill. Jane and her husband knew Tina would try to undermine her older sister whenever possible. They both got pregnant within the same year, younger Tina months ahead of Jane. Jane, husband, already had a beautiful name idea picked out to honor a teenage cousin who'd passed years before, and correctly guessed Tina would try to steal it. Tina even asked if Jane ever had any names picked out, but strangely didn't have any ideas of her own. Jane suggested a few names, each met with the same answer. "Are you planning on using that one?" Tina finally asked point blank what name Jane was planning on using. Jane claimed not to have any idea, but her radar was up and knew Tina enough to know what was happening. Jane and husband hatched a plan. The next time they got together, Jane told Tina they had decided on a name. They then dropped a decoy name, supposedly hubby's great-great-grandfather, who'd been killed at Gettysburg. It's worth mentioning these people all live near Gettysburg and visited it several times. Dad was a little bit of a Civil War buff to boot. Not reenactment nut, but liked to read about it. Sure enough, Tina took the name when she had the first boy, telling them it was too good not to use. Jane and husband kept pleasant about the whole thing, and when baby boy was born months after Tina's son, they gave him the name of Jane, Tina's cousin, who died as a teenager, the first male-born child in the family. The family was touched, as the cousin who died was very beloved. Best of all, after Jane's baby was born, named, Tina tried to smugly apologize for stealing the name. Jane, husband, just laughed and said that was another one of hubby's numerous dumb jokes. Hubby's family came here from Ireland in the 1920s, and great-great-granddad never fought in the Civil War. I love it. Older sister got a son named after beloved family member. Little sister has a son that is reminded that she got played. I need to know how Tina reacted. According to Jane, Tina kept the kid's name. She did try to gaslight the whole affair, telling everyone it was a name they'd wanted all along. She had 2 more babies, but never asked Jane about names for them. What I find funny is whenever Tina starts getting uppity or obnoxious, Jane, husband, would make a crack about great-great-grandpa or visiting his grave at Gettysburg. Edit. Jane was reminded that Tina named the following 2 children, both girls, after Jane, Tina's grandmothers, not Tina's husband's grandmothers, of course. So she was likely still trying to copy Jane by using family names. So, some backstory. I only had one parent in my life, as my father was an aggressive father within the first 6 weeks of my life. My mother gained full custody, and my father had extremely supervised visits, like a social worker had to watch me with him, so like a daycare lady. He never made an appointment to see me. My mother told me what happened when she deemed ready, so about 15, 16. When I turned 20, a lady who wasn't more than 3 years older than me contacts me. I mistaken her as a person I'd seen in school. I couldn't be more wrong. Shortly after, I found out she was engaged to my father and had a son with my father. Big age difference. She was 23, my father 57. I got into contact with my father. I never met him, as he lived in New Hampshire while I live in Iowa. We never got close. A month later, my father passed. I don't know how. Shortly, his fiancé, I'll call her stepmom, even though she isn't really, don't want to waste a bunch of words, lost custody of my half-brother and put him up for adoption due to D overdose. I was asked if I would adopt him, as he was my half-brother. I declined because I didn't have the space or money at the time. Around this time, I met my now husband. I am 25, my husband 26. I had just given birth to our daughter 3 weeks ago now. So right now, there's 4 people at the house. My mother, 56, husband, our new baby, and I. My mother is with us due to pandemic. She's high risk. Plus, she wants to be around to help with my daughter. When my daughter was 2 weeks old, I posted some photos of me, my husband, my mother, and our daughter together. It took us some time with the photos, but we figured it out. I posted them on Facebook. About an hour later, I get a comment from stepmom to check my messages. I check, and here is what they basically said. Hey OP, I'm gonna be coming over tomorrow to see my granddaughter. I'm so excited to meet her. I'll stay in the guest room. I should note she still lives in New Hampshire and I still live in Iowa. I text back, sorry, can't. My baby and my mother are high risk, and I'm still learning a routine with my daughter. My mother is also using the guest bedroom. I didn't get a response after this. Next morning, there's a knock at the door. I thought it could be a package I ordered, so I go answer it. When I open, I was pissed. Hey OP, I'm here to see my granddaughter. My stepmom tries to open the door, but I push back. I told you you couldn't come. There isn't room for you, and there are high-risk people here. Please, leave. But I have a right to see my grandbaby. Your father would want me to meet her. I'm her family. She tries to give me puppy eyes. Stepmom, I'm not really wanting to deal with this right now. Leave. I shut the door. All seems well until yesterday. She came over again, and this time, since I was busy with the baby, my husband handled her and threatened her with calling the police. She leaves after throwing a fit. Last night, when my baby is asleep, I got a text from her. Why didn't you let me see my granddaughter? I'm her grandma. I came all this way to see her, and you deny me seeing her. I just wanted to hold her. Your father would have wanted me to see her. I had responded to this. Stepmom, you're not my child's grandma. Only my mother and my husband's mother is his grandma. You weren't married to my father, only engaged. I don't trust you with her either, as I have no clue if you're still doing D or recovering. I don't trust you either, as you lost custody of my half-brother. I don't care what my father would want, as he was barely in my life. 3 months max in my life, if you include when I was born. Pandemic is a thing right now, and I have multiple people who are high risk. I told you you couldn't come over, but you did anyway. I shut off my phone after this to get the little sleep I can get. Sometime this morning after I rocked and fed my daughter, I got a text from stepmom, asking for money at the hotel she stayed at. I hit decline, and she sends it again, saying I owe her since she couldn't stay at my place. I decline again and blocked her. I don't know if she's going to show up again, but if she does, my husband will call police. Sounds like she was using your baby as an excuse to crash at your place for as long as possible.